Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for one of my final Season 15 videos. Today is my seasonal Let's Look Back video, in which we're basically going to reflect on the season and the journey leading up to it. If you've been watching the channel for some time, you know how these work. If not, allow me to explain. We're going to start out by talking about the theories that were made leading up to the season, and if they were proven or disproven. Then I'll discuss the good stuff about Crystalized, and we'll close out with the bad. Having explained that, let's begin. Crystalized is the culmination of a story that was first set up over 2 years ago in Season 13. For over a year and a half, fans wondered who the mysterious vegetable buyer was. Many old characters were mentioned, such as Pythor, the Time Twins, Nadakon, and the Overlord. Personally, I felt that the character would be somewhat new, but I was wrong. In the end, the vegetable buyer was actually the Overlord, and Ruby as well. Crystalized reveals that they've been collecting Vegestone for years to create an army. I wasn't personally correct about this theory, but many others were. Since this was the final season, many people expected a few characters to die. Wu, Garbodot, and Pixel were often mentioned as characters who could be killed off. It's definitely easier for the show to kill off robots, such as Zane and Mr. E, and the episode titled Compatible seemed to point toward a possible Pixel sacrifice. On the other hand, Wu and Garbodot are both older characters who have been around for a while. Letting them die may have been a nice way to send off their characters. All of the speculation was wrong. Every single major character survives the show and has a happy ending. On Twitter, Tommy Drayson wrote that it was important for him that the characters had unambiguously happy conclusions, and that is exactly what ends up happening. Let's discuss the ending next. Many people expected the ninja to merge into the Golden Dragon, and that the finale would have a variety of different emotions. Tommy Drayson characterized the finale as having joy, pride, and hurt all at the same time, and that very difficult decisions were made. A lot of people interpreted this as proof that the finale would have serious consequences and that many fans wouldn't be happy. Well, that part was true. Many fans weren't happy, but for very different reasons. The biggest consequence is that the ninja lose their powers, but Wu predicts that they'll return. Ruby is redeemed and the monastery is rebuilt. It's a very positive ending, and different from the bittersweet conclusion that many people envisioned. The first big Crystalized leak happened less than a month after Seabound finished. It revealed that an episode would be called Return of the Ice Emperor, and this sparked a ton of speculation. Perhaps Zane would turn evil again and assume his Ice Emperor form. Or better yet, maybe he would go to the Netherrealm and finally atone for his crimes. None of this happens. Episode 24 brings back Zane's Ice Emperor personality as nothing more than a joke. His voice is funny and he yells at characters. Yes, that's pretty much it. That was a lot of theorizing for something that was incredibly insignificant. Those were the big theories leading into Crystalized and what ended up happening. Now let's take a look at what I enjoyed. I still really enjoy part 1 of this season, and personally I don't feel like the rest of Crystalized ruins these episodes in retrospect. The first 12 episodes nicely handled themes of emotion and grief, and episode 10 is very strong, but I also like the themes of morality. The ninja have to decide whether to free Asphira, even though it's against the law. Nia has to break away from the sea because she doesn't want to become a spectator who watches as others suffer. Beyond these messages, the build-up to the Crystal King and the recruitment scenes were all fantastic. If I were to rank this season based just on part 1, it would be much higher. Just like in Season 10, Garbodot is really good in a season that suffered from a ton of other problems. I'm really happy that my favorite Ninjago character got a solid conclusion. Garbodot's redemption arc over the last 4 years is one of the best stories that this show has ever told. I love that we see a character here who is trying to make amends and be a good person. He's no longer fighting out of self-interest, but because he knows it's the right thing to do. The metaphor with Christopher is also really clever. It excellently represents how Garbodot is initially isolated and separated. However, by the end of the season, he has found his roots in a new community and family. It's a great conclusion for a great character. Those were some of the good things of Crystalized. Now let's take a look at the bad. No surprise here, but Ruby was the worst part of Crystalized. It was awful to see one of the best Ninjago villains turned into a generic antagonist, and then destroyed even more. Ruby's return is fine initially, but the season has nothing new to bring to the character. Everything she does in the middle episodes is a copy of what she did in Season 8. This isn't interesting at all. It's just more of the same, except worse. The bigger issues come with her redemption, which completely ignores her anger towards Lloyd and the ninja. Ruby's crimes and actions are never addressed, and it's horrible to see Lloyd completely accepting her. while at the same time rejecting Garmadon. This was a disastrous story that ruined years of great character work. Despite being the final season, the villain conclusions lack closure. This season is unable to deliver satisfying conclusions for the Council of Villains, and no one is really sure what happened to them. Pythor is at the same stage as he was 6 years ago. Nobody knows where he is. The final shots imply that Harumi was arrested, but is this ever shown clearly? No. Rather than a clear explanation, we're left wondering if she will pay for her crimes. The biggest issue is the defeat of the Overlord, which is basically a repeat of Season 2. It leaves the door open for him to come back a fourth time. And there was nothing that made this defeat different. Crystalized was the longest season yet, and there's no excuse for this much lack of closure. One of the major problems of the Oni trilogy was that it didn't explore the Oni enough. I appreciate this season's efforts to bring back Oni themes, but it doesn't do nearly enough with them. This season paints the image that Oni are inherently bad, and their powers should never be used. But the Oni trilogy contradicts this through the characters of Mistake and Garmadon. Both are Oni characters who use their powers to do good. And that's why it's baffling that Crystalized completely ignores this, and has Lloyd win by rejecting his Oni form. It's not balanced. It's just generic light over dark again, just like in Season 2. This season toys with some awesome Oni concepts, but when the finale comes, it tosses them out. That's about all for this Let's Look Back special. I feel that Crystalized was a decent season, but as the final season, it was a huge disappointment. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Crystalized definitely has positive aspects, but there are a few disasters which really sink the season. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and share with anyone ever you know. Share your thoughts on Ninjago Season 15, Crystalized below, and I'll see you guys next time.